Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to APU's History Online with Mr. E. We're going to review Period 7 overview, those outlines, like the fill in the blank things. But considering how much work you have to do, let's just focus on the DBQ. So we won't have to fill in the blank, but I'm doing this to help you with contextualization, with complexity. It's just a review to help you answer the DBQ for Period 7, the 5 documents in 45 minutes. Let's get started. Okay. So hopefully 10 minutes, maybe 15. I'll try to go as fast as I can. All right, so U.S. expansion overseas. So Period 7, we see the beginning of Period 7 at the end of the 19th century, late 1800s, the closing of the frontiers. So the western frontier is closing. We settled the West, conquered the West, civilized the West. And why do we do this? Well, economic motives, resource extraction, racial theories, right? Rooted in the idea of manifest destiny. You have a picture here of Frederick Turner, who came up with the Turner Frontier thesis on settling the West and expanding, and it's the American culture to, expand, and it's our destiny to move across the world. So, as we settle the West, as one window closes, we open the door to the world. What's the impact going to have with this ideology of continuing expansion? Where we're going to expand overseas, Spanish-American War. We're going to acquire new territories, Guam, Puerto Rico, Philippines. Here is Emilio Aguinaldo, the Filipino revolutionary who helped fight in the Spanish-American War for America, but then when we didn't want to give the Philippines their independence, they decided to fight an insurrection against the United States. So there will be kind of like between intervening overseas and isolationism, there's going to be imperialism versus anti-imperialist. Progressive era. Let's cover the progressive era real fast, guys. So who's the spearhead of the progressive era? We have the urban middle class. We have the people who lived in cities, the middle class, lawyers, doctors, engineers, and women. Okay, progressives sought to bring about reform, socially, politically, local, state, federal levels. Use federal government to regulate. So the government stepping in to put rules in place for businesses. Right, Clayton Antitrust Act, anti-monopoly. Sherman Antitrust Act in the time of Roosevelt. Clayton Antitrust Act would be in Wilson's administration. Economy, Federal Reserve Act under Wilson, right? Regulate like monetary policy. Environment, so Roosevelt came up with his Square Deal, which is a progressive program, right? So the Square Deal has the 3 C's: conserve nature, protect commerce, and protect the consumer, like Meat Inspection Act, Pure Food and Drug Act. So John Muir is he's going to start the Sierra Club to protect nature. They're going to create the national park system, expand democracy. So we have these 3 new powers for local elections: initiative, referendum, recall. So make new laws, take the mayor, take any corrupt politician out of power. So initiative and referendum are linked together, okay? To propose a new law, and then to vote on a new ordinance or whatnot, kind of like in McAllen, you can't smoke cigarettes indoors, things like that. 17th and 19th Amendments are going to expand democracy, direct election of senators, and women's right to vote, respectively. So got to know those amendments, guys. World War One. So first off, U.S. is going to be neutral. We're going to make the world safe for democracy when we shift to intervention, right? So people argue there was a lot of business influenced for us to get into the war, by J.P. Morgan, the banker. Domestic life under World War One. So yeah, there's going to be huge restrictions to civil liberties. This guy Eugene V. Debs, the socialist candidate, the Schenck versus the U.S. Because of the Espionage Act. If you spoke out against the draft, increased, and it was kind of infringing upon the First Amendment, right? The Supreme Court ruled in Schenck versus the U.S. that in times of clear and present danger, that there were restrictions to freedom of speech. increased opportunities for women and African Americans in urban centers where they have industrialized factories. Great migration. A lot of African Americans are going to move to the urban centers to find economic opportunities where they won't be discriminated against. Treaty of Versailles and League of Nations. You know, they get the double V campaign as well. Oh no, sorry, that's World War II. My bad. I just had a lapse in my mind. Okay, Treaty of Versailles is going to end World War One and create the League of Nations. President Wilson's 14 points are going to influence the treaty, except the whole punishing Germany and blaming them for the entire war thing, which is going to lead to World War II and the rise of fascism in Europe. So yeah, the U.S. is not going to join the League. There was a prolific senator, Henry Cabot Lodge, who was outspoken against ratifying the Treaty of Versailles because of the implications for infringing upon, you know, the autonomy of the United States and the constitutionality of it by embarking on a collective security agreement with European nations. So even though the U.S. came up with the 14 points and the Treaty of Versailles and the League of Nations, we weren't a member of the League of Nations and we didn't ratify the Treaty of Versailles. Okay, as you can see here. Okay. That's so good. Here's Washington. His ghost is probably happy. So yeah, this is a throwback to Washington and his farewell address with entangling alliances. Don't get in alliances. Don't get in. Don't have political parties, right? So Washington's ghost is happy. And just okay, let's get all these pictures out of here. So 1920s, Roaring Twenties, First Red Scare caused by the Russian Revolution, where Russia left because of the Communist Revolution. And they left World War One early, and then America joined and took Russia's place to help Britain and France win World War One. So there's going to be labor unrest in America, labor protest. Immigrants are going to be coming in. What's the effect of it all? We're going to suppress radicals. We're going to be worried about anarchists and communists. As you can see from this picture, come onto me, ye oppressed. And this is a European with a knife and a bomb. Uh-oh. Immigrant quotas. So these immigrant quotas, they're going to limit the number of immigrants coming into America, like kind of like immigration bans. We see those happening today in Middle Eastern countries. We're going to overturn that in 1965 with LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson. Impacts of technologies, improved standard of living. Right, the economy is going to get better in the Roaring Twenties, but that won't last because of the glaring economic problems with the lack of regulation. So yeah, people are going to have cars. They're going to have a better opportunity to live better with the line of credit that they have, and they're going to be able to communicate better with the new technology. Culturally, we're going to have like fundamentalist Christianity versus scientific modernism, the Scopes monkey trial about evolution in Tennessee, right? Teaching evolution and whatnot. Native-born versus new immigrants, right? We have nativism rearing its ugly head, xenophobia. White versus black, the Red Summer of 1919. There's going to be race riots, you know, like in Tulsa, Oklahoma as well. Urban versus rural, the 1920 census. A lot of people we're having a pattern of urbanization. A lot of people are moving to the cities for economic opportunity. Harlem Renaissance, celebration of African American culture through art, writing, music. You know, you got Langston Hughes. You got the jazz age. A lot of jazz musicians, like Duke Ellington. Writing. You've got. Yeah, I already talked about Langston Hughes, my bad. Okay, Great Depression, the New Deal. So this is the lessons that were kind of lengthy. This is the last lesson we did, it was an hour. But it's way better than this. But here's the spark notes, right? Here's the cliff notes. Great Depression. Great Depression occurs at the end of the Roaring Twenties, leads to a call for stronger financial regulations. We need to regulate business so the economy doesn't collapse. New Deal is going to come in to play. This isn't FDR. This is Huey Long. He's kind of a radical. He wanted to make sure that the New Deal did more for poor people, right, and for the people struggling in the Great Depression. Focus on the New Deal, kind of like the Square Deal. The New Deal is Roosevelt's cousin, right? So FDR, he comes up with 3 R's: relief, recovery, reform. Um, it's going to kind of add to these progressive ideas like minimum wage, the hourly restrictions, ending child labor with the Wagner Act. Supreme Court packing plan is going to be controversial. Roosevelt got a lot of flack for trying to put a lot of new Supreme Court justices that did not retire after 70 because they did challenge him with the Agricultural Adjustment Act and the sick chickens case. Implications of the New Deal. Now we have the legacy of the New Deal, Social Security for the retirement for old people, and the FDIC to put insurance on bank accounts in case banks fail. Political realignment. So now the worker class, the labor class, African Americans, and unions are going to begin to vote Democratic. Now World War II. Oops. Let's see. U.S. was neutral until Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941, when the Japanese attacked us in Hawaii. Mass mobilization. Okay, the economy is going to boom. Production levels are going to go through the roof. Opportunities for women and minorities, blacks, Mexican Americans. So World War II is going to bring us out of the Great Depression. Wartime experiences, Japanese internment camps, debates over race and segregation, the Double V campaign, the Zoot Suit riots with the Mexican Americans using, the swag-tastic suits that they had and got into fights with white people who thought they were, violating the rationing. Decision to drop the atomic bomb, save American lives, end the war quickly, show off our might and our strength to the Soviets. Just prove a point, right? And having to kill innocent people in the process. Why did the U.S. and its allies win? Commitments to democracy, new technology like the Manhattan Project with the development of the nuclear weapon, nuclear technology, industrial production techniques. U.S. post-war, we're going to emerge as the most powerful nation. Europe is going to lay in ruins. We're going to be unscathed, essentially, with the minus Pearl Harbor. Okay, so you need to know all these things for period 7. You can use all this stuff for contextualization throughout your essay in the DBQ. Good luck.